Hello and welcome back to more Fables from Pickled Quipper, episode 26, in which the fearless Hand of Aegis have successfully found Sprock and are heading back to the Kobold encampment to reunite him with Splick. Let's see what happens next.
Let's see, what happened last time? Oh, right, the purveyor. So, you were right in the lower levels of the caves. Though, as you've now discovered, clearly not the lowest levels of the caves based on the giant precipice that you discovered. You were able to enter into a space. Unlike the rest of the caves were all very natural. This was worked stone. And just as you're walking in, the purveyor greeted you, said you'd all done so very, very well. And a conversation ensued. Somehow, a fight didn't break out. He decided once again, after the conversation, that perhaps you still weren't quite ready for him. And using the power of telekinesis, he grabbed some papers off his desk, which was behind you guys. Didn't quite grab all of them, but grabbed some papers and then disappeared. After a little bit of searching, you were able to find Splick, hidden deep within the caverns. Splick or Sprock?
Sprock.
Sprock. Of course. Obviously it was Sprock. I knew that. And I think we can pick up with you guys getting back up to the first level of the cave. Right, so you guys are over here in the basically above the entrance to the second layer. You have Sprock with you. What would you like to do?
How long were we down there? It was like an hour to two.
Sort of 2.5, 3 hours.
As we're coming around kind of the corner, Sylvaris is going to stop and like look back at Sprock.
Sprock,
Yes?
your kindred, how often do they trap these caves?
Well, if a trap set off, they reset it like immediately. Because we're supposed to keep the traps up. We're very, very diligent.
I can't seem to recall. Are there any traps down this hall? They are very well hidden.
Down this bit? No, I don't think so. It's just once you get like, remember where we first met? There's that sort of V shape. If you go down the other V towards the you know, the little village thingy, whatever we want to call it, where the tribe is, that's where the traps are.
Do me a favor. Locate that for me when we arrive.
I pointed that out last time.
And he kind of looks to his right and sees his buddy's not there to confirm.
I did though.
And I'll just unsheath my lit sword and I'll start trudging that way.
Alrighty. You may move yourselves.
Right, okay.
Sprock,
Yeah, oh, calm down. Gosh, you're very, very loud. Okay, so the first one is here, and you just have to step here.
You need everyone to make dexterity saves to follow his route. Come to think of it, he's going to have to make a dexterity save himself. He does just fine.
22.
11.
14.
7.
Surprisingly enough, 3 passes. You very nearly teeter over. Literally, only one would have failed in this particular situation. He's pointed it out, and you know it's there, so hitting it would have been very poor form. Nevertheless, Sylvaris, you're a little tired still, and your foot, like, you're trying to remember exactly where he stepped on the fourth one, and you are, like, just moments away from putting your foot down in the wrong place, and then you quickly catch yourself, stumble your foot over, and then lurch awkwardly through the rest quickly. But you do survive without hitting any of them. And then he goes, all right, and then the other one's just here. You just have to step over this little wire, remember? No need to make checks for whether you can step over a wire that is 6 inches off the ground. And even if you do hit it, if you recall, the only thing that happens is some bells jingle. Spin
I trail my foot on it.
There's a little tinkling noise. And then you get to the gate. Well, not gate, the sort of the entrance to the cave system here. And you're once again met by the more heavily armored Kobold. Who are you again? It's me, Spock. And then you hear from inside, Spock! And Split comes running over, gets about 20 feet, tumbles, rolls over about 6 or 7 times before deftly getting back to his feet. And Sprock runs in, and there's a nice embrace as the friends are reunited.
Claire wipes a little tear from her eye.
Oh, so good to see you again. Oh, it's good to see you too. Was it scary? Of course it was scary. It was the big face. He had me captured. I know he did. I was telling them about it. Oh, it's good to have you back. Thank you. It's good to be back.
We continue to listen to their conversation for the next hour.
They just sort of turn to you and look expectantly.
Are you coming in? I'm sure Kobold would like to thank you.
And they move over towards the throne area.
Greetings. Welcome back. I see you have found our missing friend. You what?
We found your missing friend. It's an expression. Means yes.
Why not just say yes?
More of a traditional common term.
Oh, I see. I'm a king, so I don't use common words. Anyway, well done. He seems mostly unharmed. Yeah, no, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, he looks alright. What happened to him?
He was stuck in a wall, so we pulled him out, and brought him back.
Gorbo's face, utter confusion.
Stuck in a wall?
Yeah, there was an illusion of a wall, and he was behind it, captured by the purveyor.
Expression is slowly clearing up. Gonna be honest, I rolled a 1 and then a 2 for insight, so it didn't really improve.
The purveyor. Oh, the guy. Yes. Him. Did you kill him?
Not so much.
Oh.
That wasn't really part of the deal, was it?
Well, it just would have been nice, I suppose.
Of course, could be an eventuality.
Did you encounter anything else down there? I'm hoping that we are done with threats for a while.
I think we pretty much cleared it out, but there is a giant hole that goes down. Who knows what floats up out of that?
Giant hole?
Yes. An abyss of sorts.
Oh.
It's not really my field of expertise, but it seemed like a big hole.
And fate did not lead us down there. We strictly were searching for Sprock.
Right. No. That makes sense. You don't really look equipped for going down giant holes anyway. Suspect you may need some...
We're very well equipped for going down big holes, but getting back up would be tricky.
Not to mention, we did a great amount of clearing to find Sprock. And I am quite tired.
He didn't laugh at the joke because I then rolled a 3 for insight. He is. I've literally rolled 1, 2, 3 so far. That's it.
Matter.
It's a shame you're not fighting something. Well, for you anyway.
We're fighting his
Give us time.
comprehension.
Yeah. Well. I'm not happy to hear that there is still mystery down there. What? You were clearing thing. You said. What else was down there?
Chul fighting
The-
Locks.
What were those ape-like
The
creatures?
dwarves.
Yeah.
Durgar.
And Grells.
You see sort of like a look of horror as each thing gets listed. His face gets more and more sort of. This is not good. We may need to seal up the tunnel. Though, maybe we just need to monitor it. If the purveyor was down there, there may still be things of value.
He did seem to have a form of residence or at least office or something down there.
That is troubling. To think that he has been down there all this time.
What's even more troubling, I believe Sprock was intentionally captured for bait for us.
You think I was just bait? Oh, that's mean. He didn't even think you were worth much. He just thought you were like a maggot. Oh, I'm not a maggot. I'm better than a maggot, right? Oh, yeah, of course you're better than a maggot. You're like at least a grub. Oh, thanks.
Bait. That is troubling. Not only, then, did he know that you would come back here, but he knew exactly who to take to get you to go down there.
He knows you all by name.
What?
He has spoken of you in the past.
Corbo!
Yes.
Very troubling.
He seems to have ways of watching people. Though I do not understand it.
We may have to try to figure out a way to stop that. Though I don't know how. Did anything else happen, or you said you were? Well, I see you are wounded, and you big scaly one, you look. Well, frankly, you look awful. Would you like to rest here again?
Just gonna kind of eye the group and see their general thoughts on the matter.
And exhausted, Cassette is nodding.
Very well. Firstly, I think perhaps a reward is in order for the safe return of Sprock. He reaches to his side and pulls up what appears to be a small carved animal horn of some sort. And he mutters a word, and then in the big booming voice that you heard all those days ago, perhaps this would suffice. And you can see like the kobolds in the space like clamp their hands over their ears, and he mutters something again, and the sound seems to have dissipated, and he just sort of holds it out and says, "Here, whomever wishes to take this may do so. It was created by one-armed Lobo some time ago. I don't fully understand it, but it is, he called it the Horn of Amplification.
I I guess I'll put my hand out.
Places it into your hand. It can be activated to increase the volume of the speaker to near deafening levels. It automatically scales to the size of the surroundings. So it'll always be at the same level regardless of the space, unless you are sort of in open air. In which case,
I was
it's
about to
just
ask that. That's
in which case it's just pretty darn loud. But yes, it specifically sort of adapts to the space you're occupying.
I don't really feel like I'm the one to hold on to this. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Silverius or Badur, you two are the most, you know. Well, here you go. And she
I just kind of
holds
hold
it
up my
out
hand.
towards.
I just hold up my hand and shake my head.
Silverius, this seems like something that would suit your personality.
my eyes kind of squint. There's a moment of thought, and
That one.
Silvarius gradually reaches out and takes it from you without saying anything. Just
You know, needs rise. We can always pass it round, but I don't know, somehow my first thought is you.
It does not require attunement. Right. You may take rest. Over, sort of here. And he just sort of gestures over to the space on the far side of the cavern. We will bring over some extra blankets and so on for you. Eska, a word if I may.
Oh yes, sorry, I was just laying down there. Yes.
He sort of looks pointedly at the rest for you to sort of leave. And Splick and Sprock sort of head over there and start fussing over you guys, trying to help get you bedding.
Claire,
Silvarius just
real
stands
quick,
there.
is gonna just whisper to Silverius, what about the books?
I was going to address that.
And she just, nods and follows Cosette and Bardor.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lay down. I start taking out my pack and my blanket and all that stuff.
Kobold sort of encourages Eska to come close and leans in and says, I've been thinking back to our first meeting. You remember what I did?
Yes.
He sort of briefly, like almost blink and you miss it, shifts form to match Eska again, and then shifts back. I've been thinking about that, and I realized something. I think I understand a little bit better about you. And you see him kind of just idly like rubbing his hands and sort of like just feeling the scales on the back of his hand, and says, you have great power, I think. Yes?
I still don't really know. I do not understand.
I believe that Vola could help you understand yourself better. Perhaps help you learn more about yourself. I suspect that you have similarities that she would understand.
I see. Do you suggest I talk to her?
Indeed. I think that would be wise.
Okay. Thank you. I will do that.
Would you like me to summon her now for you?
Certainly.
He mutters to one of the guards next to him, who disappears off. Vola sort of slowly shambles over. Will you send for me? She sort of looks. She's actually looking at you, Eska. And then she sort of looks up at Gorbo, and he says,
Oh, yes, right. Sorry. Yes, I was wondering if you could perhaps have a word with young Eska here. She and you have, I think, some things in common. Oh, are you also a historian and a keeper of lore?
I'm not sure that's what he's referring to.
and you see her sort of face gets a little sad.
Oh, I see.
But certainly I try and keep to the laws best I can.
No, little one. Lore. Lore.
Oh, uh, yes, no, that's not really my speciality.
Well, follow me. Let's see what we can do with you.
And she leads you over to this sort of area here, and in there there's a little fire that's burning, and the air is actually kind of thick in there. And she sort of beckons you to just sit down by the fire. And it's a little uncomfortable for you. It's warmer than you really prefer. Obviously, you're already probably feeling a little claustrophobic as it is. You've been in the cave for quite a while now, and then add on the smoke and the heat, and it's not great. But she sort of says,
Sit. Let me look at you.
and she sits you down and sort of places these wrinkly, scaly hands up against and like holds your cheeks, and just like stares into you, and it's a little disconcerting, honestly. Do you like sort of do you allow that to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. So she sort of stops and looks. She says,
Interesting.
and she reaches down to the fire and pulls out a stick. That's got a little bit of fire on the end of it. Focuses on it, and you see the flame extinguished. And she just sort of looks at you and cocks her head to one side.
I will attempt to relight that.
Kindles back into flame. She nods and says,
Yes. That is what I thought. Tell me, have you learned to control this power within you?
No. To be frank, some of the things I do are fairly well controlled, because they are part of my people. My father was druidic, and though it tends to be the men of our race who become druids, we pick up a little bit, and he taught me some of his craft, just the basics. I've always had the ability to do a few things of that nature, but there is a power in me that I do not understand, and I was not taught, that I do not know how to control. It's instinctive and reactive, and it does seem to be growing.
Perhaps I can help you on your way. This would probably take a while, though. Perhaps even all night. So I will leave this up to you to decide. If you wish to explore this further, you may do so. We can stay here, and perhaps I can teach you more ways to control this power. Possibly even learn to do more with it.
I would certainly appreciate that. I fear what may happen at some point. Oftentimes what I do is more than I expected, and I fear for my companions at times.
Very well.
May I just go and confer with them and see how they feel about that?
I was about to suggest that you do exactly that. I don't want them worrying about you. We can't have them fretting over there.
and just set Splick and Sprock off. Insufferable little so-and-sos. Yes, go let them know. And then if you wish to learn further, come back to me, and we can spend the evening focusing on this, and perhaps I can help enhance your skills a little.
Now that I think of it, I know that there was some arrangement for some access to read the book. Would that be something they could perhaps peruse whilst we do that?
No, I would need to be there for that, because I have to bring the books forward. We can deal with that in the morning. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to doing that, but I wish to be there.
That's fair enough. You carry many burdens.
Yes, I do. For many years now. And she seems a little wheezy and a little tired.
Well, I'll be right back.
Very well.
And
While Eska was talking with
Yes.
Vola, could I have been talking with Gorbo?
Sure. Yeah, you could talk to Gorbo.
Yeah, when they escorted her to Vola, he just would have approached Gorbo, and he would have spoke in Draconic directly to him.
King Gorbo, I believe some of your finer foods and beverages are in order for us, along with perhaps some improved comforts.
Well, I don't know about improved comforts. You already... Splick and Sprock pretty much stole everyone's blankets and gave them to you. It's like sleeping inside a woolly mammoth over there. But certainly...
That's your bet, and it will do.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I saw him walk off with one of mine. However, food and beverages we can certainly obtain. And he just sort of gives a look at the same guard earlier, who sort of slightly grudgingly trudges off down one of the corridors there.
And about the book, that was also an agreement.
Yes, that was an agreement, and that is something that Devola will attend to. I would suggest waiting for the morning. It may take some time to go through them, though.
And he'll nod.
We are in no rush here. I don't know about you.
I'm uncertain. We keep discovering things. Leave me uneasy.
I find if you stop looking for things, you stop discovering them.
We are tasked with such. It's just what we find is far greater than usual.
That is unfortunate. It's a heavy burden to bear. I certainly wish you good fortunes in your endeavors. And if we are able to help you, we will. You have done us a great service in returning Sprock here. And we are in your debt.
And we appreciate your assistance in the matter and in future endeavors. The caves leading down, they are of concern. You should post your most alert guards. The purveyor is wise and intelligent. Trixie floats around invisibly. I'm not even certain if he's not aware of our current discussions, but do protect yourselves.
That is very troubling. And he looks to the other guard. Guard sort of nods and whistles. From down the corridor, you see a couple more of the sort of the heavily armored kobolds with the spears and shields and whatnot come over, and there's a brief discussion, and he tells them to go guard the entrance to the lower levels of the caves, and they head over that way. And just looking at them, you definitely get a sense that this is not Splickensbrock. This is the muscle of the kobold village here. They are they seem intelligent and burly. Basically, almost everything that Splickensbrock aren't. Think of it like twins. They are the Arnold Schwarzeneggers to Splickensbrock's Danny DeVito. And they head over. You hear a slight jingle as they go down the corridor. Yes, good advice. Thank you. I think perhaps we had underestimated the threat of the purveyor. But based on what you have said, we will do that no longer.
And fear not. I do not think our paths are done crossing, us and the purveyor.
As long as he doesn't feel the need to cross paths with me, I'm happy with this arrangement.
He took Sprock. Unsure how far he's willing to go.
Hopefully, he has learned what he needed to and won't feel the need to meddle with us again. If need be, I'll arm every single kobold in here. We'll go take him down. There's a sort of a steely look in his eyes.
So Varus, he'll nod, and he puts his fist up to his chest, kind of like with a nod bow, and
Sort of gives a nod. Almost as reverent, but not quite. He is king after all.
I'll make my way back to the party.
And as you do so, you see Eska has returned.
I don't want to put us behind, but if there is the possibility of staying here tonight, I would very much like that chance.
I have arranged for us fine meals and drinks.
Oh.
And I think we could use a rest.
I think I'm already over in the corner laying down, so
Yes, I'm feeling relatively spry, and I do not need too much sleep. Vola has offered to instruct me in some way, so I was planning on spending the evening with Vola, and then perhaps in the morning those who wish can take a look through the book, if that is okay with everybody.
Yeah, Claire looks a little disappointed that they're not going to get to look at the book now, but nods.
I'll be just around the corner then. If
No, before you do,
oh,
please, sit with us and have a meal. I have a bit I would like to discuss.
okay. Just a moment. And Eska will message Vola and say, I'll be there soon, hopefully.
You get a response back. Oh, you're more advanced than I realized. That's it.
Okay. Okay, Severius.
So in about 5-10 minutes, food and drink is brought over. The food is some sort of stew. You might not want to ask what it is, but it's stew. There's what looks like rather nice, fresh flatbread along with it. Clay cups filled with some sort of liquid.
Figuring these are the finest things they have to offer, not going to be too much complaining.
When Claire takes a a bite of her stew. She makes kind of a wrinkly nosed face and then holds her hand over her bowl and just quietly mutters a couple of words. Little tiny glow comes from her hand, and then when she takes another sip, she looks very happy.
And I mean, in fairness, it did taste pretty good. It's not like anything you're really used to, though. The seasonings are very different. There's a pretty healthy quantity of luminous mushroom in there. There's a lot of sort of earthy flavors, as well as mystery meat.
Claire's just more so a picky eater. She's sheltered. She's a very sheltered girl.
Oh.
Jessica sees this and she holds her bowl over towards Claire with a hopeful look on her face.
Oh, would you like me to? Is there anything you want it to taste like?
How about a nice, like, topside mushroom stew?
I think I could probably manage that. And she holds her hand over Eska's bowl and says the same words. And that should do it.
Eska sniffs it and looks much happier and starts to eat.
Roll Arcana, Claire.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. A 15.
That's a very good mushroom stew. You're very happy with that, Eska.
Yeah, she just tries not to look at it, and she can imagine that they're actual mushrooms she's used to.
Yeah.
Not mushrooms that are gonna make her insides glow like radioactive. Yeah.
Exactly.
You hear a loud look over and I'm done. I put down the bowl. And I'm gonna pull out my pipe, and I start blowing smoke monsters of all the things we fought.
It does beg the suggestion, eating luminous mushroom stew. I wonder what would happen afterwards.
Well, we're gonna find out in the morning.
Eska makes a mental note to pay attention.
Very good. Anyone drinking?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, you sit down.
Well, first sipping it. What is it?
Again, it tastes very earthy, very strong. This is sort of like slowly distilled alcoholic beverage of some sort, based on the weird sort of essence that seems to be floating in it. You think fermented luminous mushroom beverage or something weird like that that's been sort of aged over time.
Does it glow?
There's like it doesn't fully glow, but the light catches it every now and then, and it certainly glistens a little. It's certainly very strong. Yeah, I mean, it's stronger than mead. This is probably more into the sort of the whiskey range in terms of intensity. So if anyone kind of dove in a little bit and just took a big mouthful, that was probably pretty intense.
My first one was a pretty big mouthful.
Yeah, you sort of cough, kind of struck a little bit by the intensity of it, but it warms nicely as it goes down. This is real sort of like top quality comfort food with a warming beverage. You definitely feel good and comfortable here, especially given that you have enough fur to cover several acres apparently, as best as the lap of luxury as a kobold village can provide.
After Sylvaris holds his bowl, he's not using his utensils. He's actually just pouring it into his lizard-like mouth a little bit at a time, and kind of like licks his lips. And when Claire had done her little like magic thing and on her soup, and for Eska, he's gonna just bring up.
That is something interesting, Claire. I have allied with many clerics in the past, but you seem to hold a skill set a bit expanded on that?
I did when I was in the academy that my parents sent me to. I decided to specialize a little more in Arcana.
I've seen you perform greater spells. Your powers, are they limited, or how expansive are they?
Well, for the most part, I can do pretty much anything a regular cleric could do. There's not much difference there, but I have access to just a few things I guess you would think beyond a normal cleric. Able to communicate with the Fae and things like that. And nothing big, but you know, just a few spells here and there.
That's quite handy indeed. All of you, Claire, Bardo, Cosette, and even you, Eska. You have all been admirable. What are your thoughts on what we are endeavoring to do?
To be honest, I haven't really given it much thought. It's been such a whirlwind.
And what about you, Bardo?
The purveyor seems to be playing with us, which I don't like. The fact that we seem to be getting most of our information from him and he's just goading us along is quite annoying.
Agreed.
Yeah, I feel like, we were starting to really make progress and kind of get comfortable. Maybe now we're realizing that there's a lot more danger out there than maybe we were even aware of. I mean, I haven't felt like we've been in control of much since we got here, but I feel even less in control.
He did figure out a way to get his eyes off of us. He knows us too much.
He is powerful. I was drained when we encountered him. Thus my hesitation to initiate direct conflict. I am working on that, however. As far as our evading him, there could be something discovered.
As my eyes turn to Eska.
You, Eska, you have been the greatest mystery to me. I believe I understand Bardo, Claire, and Cosette, relatively speaking. However, you have been vague, and your powers are clearly growing.
Is there a question here, Silverius?
Just you. You are the question yourself. We don't know much about you. I saw into your eyes down there.
I don't like to be down there. That much I believe I have made fairly clear. I prefer the open air. So, is that what you mean?
I myself serve an order, righting wrongs and correcting that which is, I want to say, evil. I am driven to stay on this quest. I assume Cosette would be as well. I know Bardo is capable, a soldier, and I assume he would stick with us. As you, Claire, do you have an anchor in this?
Outside of anyone here, no one else knows what happened. And I can't see leaving any of you. Just for the sole purpose of that knowledge. Because something clearly happened, and The world is different than we knew it. And I mean, I don't know much of the world to begin with, but I don't really want to go out there on my own.
Yes, if it puts your mind at rest, Silvarius, my intentions have not changed. I feel that we must stick together to seek out the answers here, for anyone else will consider us crazy or dangerous. Until we find out what has happened and work out whether it needs to be put back to rights or whether this is indeed what is right, I think we must hold together. I guess we have taken some steps in that direction, though whether they make things clearer or more confusing, I do not know. Strangely, the thought that maybe we were in some alternate reality seemed easier to solve than being in our own reality, but it being different. So that is strangely disquieting to me. So I feel not much closer to the answer myself. And besides, you've all proven yourselves trustworthy. I don't really have anywhere else to call home, so for now, this is my home.
Very good.
Perhaps in time I will tell you more of my story, but you know at least that I am here, that I have your back, and that is all I really feel able to give.
I will take that for now. That you have shown. We formed this group, the Hand of Aegis. We need to make something of that. We have the Purveyor and Duarte and Drakesburg. Many paths we can follow. Just which one? I'm kind of with you, Eska. Ready to see the light of day.
If it wasn't for Vola's kind offer, I would be campaigning to get to the surface as soon as possible, but another night down here for her kind help, I feel I can't really turn down.
I don't understand your powers, otherwise I would help you myself. Perhaps this meeting was serendipitous.
Indeed. Yes, I hope she can shed some light or whatever it is she intends to do. This is still so new to me that I can't even really explain to anybody. As long as they continue to help, I guess I will try and embrace them, but be prepared for some interesting situations.
How long do you want to stay here?
Not long at all. She said perhaps we could spend the evening with her doing whatever she's doing, and then suggested maybe in the morning we could take a look at the books. After that, I'm in all of your hands as to how long you want to spend doing that. I'm not much one for books myself, so that'll be up to you all.
Nor am I, but maybe I can help the kobolds. Maybe set up a trap or something for the lower level and give them a little bit of extra protection or something.
That sounds like a good use of time.
Agreed. I, for one, wish to spend time with the book. Just in case there's something. The fact it has separate authors, one from here and one not, is cause enough to at least peruse.
Can't hurt to check every avenue.
Are you gonna shimmy on over, Eska?
Well, I'm full. I'm gonna go take a wander. I'll see you guys in the morning.
Good luck.
Thanks. If you hear any explosions, just run. I mean, that's pretty standard anyway, but
You head over to Vola, and she says, finally you are returned. I was beginning to get worried.
yeah, sorry about that. Had to have a quick dinner meeting.
I see. Well, sit. Let us spend a moment here and think. You said you are concerned about your powers. That perhaps they are getting out of control, yes?
I don't always know what I'm going to do, so sometimes they are more exuberant than I intend.
I see.
Thus far it has not caused issue, but I suppose there is the potential.
Very well. I think perhaps I know what could help you here. I will teach you a skill that I learned some 60 years ago. It has saved many a kobold's hide from my own either overexuberance, especially when I was younger, or just, well, like you said, sometimes the control is difficult. Tell me, what, And she just puts like a little rock down in front of you. Do you have magic in your ability that you can summon regularly that could target this rock?
I believe so.
She herself does a brief demonstration. She focuses on it, and then from her hand you see a little burst of green, and liquid sort of bursts out and covers the rock, and you hear it sort of hiss and sizzle, and you have like an acrid smell in your nose. I could do that all day if I needed to, thanks to my focus. Show me what you can do.
I will reach out and touch the rock and cast Winter's Grasp on it.
The stone, it's covered with ice. It stops sizzling. And she sort of nods in approval and says, Good, good. Now, what I need you to do is keep doing this. And she brings out like 4 more rocks. Focus on these 4 rocks. Touch each one with a finger. But what I need you to do is make sure the one touching your pinky is unaffected. And she demonstrates. She focuses, and you see four smaller squirts of green come out of her fingers. But one of those like diverts away from one of the rocks, and so only 3 of the rocks are hit. So this is what you are going to learn: to control and focus your power to protect what you wish to protect. So go ahead and roll Arcana.
All right. My specialty? 1. Natural 1. Oh,
Natural
yeah. I cast it on it. No.
Roll for damage.
5 cold damage.
So you reach out and try to focus, and not only do the 4 stones all freeze over, but from out of your thumb sprays a little bit more cold power, and it latches onto Vola's foot, and she gets a little frostbite, and takes 5 cold damage. And she sort of yelps a little, and one of the kobolds comes running around the corner, and she just sort of, "Get out of here! We're just training." And he like tail between his legs, runs back out. You get the feeling that maybe the younger kobolds are really quite scared of Vola. She says, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is part of the process." And the next, and she just sort of pops a little berry in her mouth, and you see a little bit of color return to her cheeks. She says, "This is how it is supposed to work. It takes time and focus, and what we're learning here is, well, yes, I think this will take all night." And so for the
Yes,
next,
I've never really tried to focus in this way.
she looks a little disappointed when you say that. So for the next pretty much sort of 6-7 hours, the two of you were there in this cramped, sweltering little, I was going to say cubby, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Like, what do you call those things?
Alcove?
Alcove, we'll go with that. Yes, thank you. I was going to say cul-de-sac, and I knew that was wrong. I mean, it kind of fits the description, but alcove, yes. So you're kind of in her little alcove here, and you work hard. Roll me 5. Just roll me 5 Winter's Grasps, actually.
To hits?
Yes. The rest of you, you may continue your conversation after Eska leaves. Is there anything else you wish to talk about?
Sylvaris actually would want to know more about Bardur a little bit, just.
I said
He's
no
ever
as I turn
inquisitive.
over.
Well, perhaps another night.
Claire has whipped out her little journal and ink set and is scribbling away in the corner, all cozied up in the furs.
I was joking, just by the. I was just gonna be laying there, kind of like leaning back against the rock with like pipe still going. So.
So Varys, roll me Constitution saving throw with disadvantage, please.
Oh yeah. 11.
As eager as you are to get into it with Bardur, and you do try to ask him a couple of questions, you realize that you're barely hearing the answers. Your eyes are heavy. You are wiped. This is you're still recovering off the tail end of your vigil. It's been another long day.
I imagine drawing from life experiences that I think that I'm talking to Bardur, and then like everyone he sees, Sylvaris kind of like falls asleep, and then like 15 minutes later he just like picks back up like he thought he was still there.
This is accurate, true to life behavior.
Yeah, I can believe that. What's Cassette doing?
She's pretty overwhelmed, so she's just kind of resting. I mean, she'll listen into the conversations, but she's going to lay down.
Bardo, would you try to answer Sylvaris' questions, or do you just sort of realize that the light's barely on and there's no one home?
Yeah, I mean, if he's like just kind of mumbling to himself and like kind of dozing off, I just kind of sit there and watch him. And then whenever he starts talking again, then I'm like, what?
Kobold ale, strong.
Then I'll offer him some of my dwarven mead out of my flask if he wants some.
I'll lay there breathing heavily.
Then I'll take a swig.
So, Eska, you are tired, a little frustrated. You've put in a lot of work. You had a pretty intense experience already in the lower set of caves, and the heat is really starting to get to you. There's quite a bit of sweat now forming, and you can hear from sort of down the ways. You can hear the sounds of movement again. It sounds like camp is starting to sort of pick back up. You're starting to lose enthusiasm for this process, and sort of look up to Vola with sort of vaguely pleading eyes. And she says, "No, one more time. Focus. And don't hit my foot again." And you stop, you focus. And as you touch the 4 stones, only 3 of them frost over this time. You sit there and you look at them. And Vola just sort of nods. Good. Now, again. And she sort of like, she reaches into the fire and pulls out, there's some like rocks that have been sitting in the fire. She pulls out, and you can see like these rocks are giving off heat. Again. And you reach down and you do it. And again, you make 3 of the rocks freeze over and not the 4th. And she nods. I think, my girl, you have secured this knowledge in your head. Now, focus on me. And do it again.
I knew you were gonna say that.
So she wants you to literally try to cast a spell on her, but also not cast a spell on her simultaneously. So, you have the choice here. You can choose to spend a sorcery point, and if you do so, she will be unaffected by it.
No, I'm just gonna go full blast at her. No, I will. I'll expend that sorcery point.
Okay. So you do it, and you hold out your hand and reach for her, and you feel the cold shoot down your arm and onto her skin, and you see that where, like in the past you've used this and you see like the cold sort of spread over them. Here you see ice like spread out as if it's on top of her arm, but then it just falls off and shatters on the ground. She says, Good. Yes. Very, very good. And you can now add to your metamagic repertoire Careful Spell.
Ooh. That's pretty exciting. Eska looks, she just looks amazed and kind of keeps looking at her hand. And she said, I had no idea that was even possible.
Use it wisely. Protect those you care about.
And
Thank you, Vola.
Now, I need some breakfast.
And she just sort of looks at you and gives you a little pat on the head.
And said, and you look a little peaky too.
You also now have a point of exhaustion.
I give her a grateful pat on the shoulder and I cast it again. And ice again falls away from her. And I just give her a wink.
Spend your sorcery point.
Done. I got 2 more. No.
She chuckles and said, Come, let's eat. I know that Silvarius will want to see the book. So, let's away.
Yeah, Eska just is kind of quietly, somewhat, she's kind of rendered speechless by this.
Lola shuffles off into the main room. And you see her, like, chomping another one of those berries. You think you might know what those are based on, little bits and pieces that have happened on your travels. You're not really sure how she can be hungry, but she said she's hungry, so...
I imagine she's been chomping them all night as I keep hitting her with the
Quite possibly. I mean, you realize she's pretty hardy, all things considered. You know, she's not like Splick and Sprock. Yes, I'm using them again as a reference. She's
They're our baseline.
yeah, she's made of stern stuff, and I mean, 90% of that might just be stubbornness. But yeah, she leads you out there, and as you come out, you can see the other four stirring. Silveris, you lose your point of exhaustion.
Hallelujah!
Cassette, did you still have one? Or was that already
No.
gone? Okay. You were just regular tired.
Just regular tired, yeah.
I've had so many sessions of being able to mock Silvarius for not being able to do anything, and now it's me.
So, you see, as you guys wake up, and Splick and Sprock are sort of like standing slightly ominously over you, like waiting for you to wake up. They're just sort of like watching you sleep. And Cassette, you in particular see Splick, like peering over you, sort of like literally leaning over you.
Ah!
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Too close, too close,
Oh,
too close.
sorry. And he like runs back 5 feet. Four of you who slept, you regain your hit points. You get half your hit dice back. You get all of your spell slots and various other things back. Not you, Eska. And you see Eska kind of looking over, like walking in, looks exhausted, but a little sort of awestruck, I think is probably accurate still. She's coming to terms with it. Food is brought out, and well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's mystery stew. They don't really feel the need to differentiate breakfast food versus dinner food, which is kind of sad because they're missing out on the whole bacon and eggs concept. Claire may well be offering upgrades for those who wish to have that.
Claire will offer, but she will also pull out her probably a little stale sticky bun that she never ate the day before, and offer little chunks of sweet, delicious sticky bun to everybody.
I will take it a bit.
Yeah, because I will accept.
Yeah, Silvarius too.
She'll split it up as evenly as possible and give everybody a nice little chunk.
Eska's actually just going to walk by and say, "Hey guys, give me a shake when we're ready to go." And she's going to head into the little alcove and lay down. She's going to go into trance mode on the off chance that they're here long enough. But if they're not, they're not. It's cool.
Vola, you see, has no interest in resting. She's happily chomping on flatbread and gets through 3 bowls of soup somehow. And then eventually she wanders over to Gorbo. Gorbo sort of like gestures for you to come over. As you head over, you see Vola start casting a spell, and then you see her reach forward and her arm disappears. Just like literally goes invisible. And then she pulls it back, and in her hand are 2 books. And they are waiting over there for you. And as you go over, you see the Splick and Sprock just sort of like head over to Eska, gently poke her a little bit to see if she's awake. And there's no response from Eska. Is she dead? What's happening? It's very strange. I know. And yeah, that's the last you hear. Is that's just sort of like watching her as you guys head over. Good morning. I trust you are feeling well rested. And Vola sort of shakes her head a bit. We have the books as requested. On the front of one of them is a crudely drawn hooked claw. On the front of the other is a crudely drawn green-winged serpent. These are the books handed to me, and they have been handed down from sorcerer to sorcerer. In them are the tales of our people. She hands both out. Hands one to Claire, one to Silvarius, sensing the eagerness of those two over the others.
And which one is of your record?
I was just looking in them again. They both are mine.
You sort of flip both books over, like open, and at a glance you can see that approximately you're actually at like the most recent entries are approximately the same point in each book, with the exception that the events happening since you guys arrived that has been added into the book with the serpent on the front. But events predating your arrival appear to be in both books, approximately similar, and sort of taking up approximately the same amount of space in the books. And if you go back, you kind of see a lot of the same names, just sort of flicking through and kind of comparing between the two books.
I hadn't looked in them as thoroughly as I thought I had, and yes, you can see in both books where Camacha, the sorcerer before me, she handed this down to me 20 years ago. I have been writing in the book ever since, and it is my handwriting in both books.
And you are recording in one book, or both?
I have been writing in the serpent book
Fascinating.
for as long as I can remember, since Camacha died.
As you scan back through, you see a list of names dated about 7 years ago, including Splick and Sprock. Appears to be when their generation was born. There's a lot of information here just about the tribe in general. So you learn about just flicking through like the early pages. You see the first of the tribe came from eggs, but there's no information about who laid those eggs. The first sorcerer was called Fundo, and Fundo was the second to hatch after the first to hatch was Boku, who was named the first king. And then in each book on the second page, there is the great prophecies. And the prophecy in the book of the tribe of the Hooked Claw reads thusly: The tribe of the Hooked Claw shall grow strong and numerous in the shadow of the dull zither. Ingenious shall they be, and ready to answer the call of Kurtlemak when he escapes the prison created for him by Garl Glittergold. When the Kobold Allfather calls, the tribe shall rise up and move out of the caves, seeking to overthrow the underground gnome city of Badgertown. From thence, the tribe must dig deep into the ground and secure riches for the Great Return. The Serpent Book says, The tribe of the Green Serpent shall grow strong and numerous in the shadow of the dull zither. Ingenious shall they be, and ready to answer the call of the Great Green Serpent. When the Great Green Serpent calls, the tribe shall rise up and overthrow the dull zither. From thence they shall go out into the countryside and secure gold and riches for the great horde. You literally have both books open to that page.
While they do that, I'm gonna go up to King Gorbo and talk to him about the potentially like setting up some traps or something to secure that area.
He nods eager agreement, encourages you to take Humpma, as well as he actually encourages you to take Splick and Sprock, possibly to test the trap's efficacy. And you're able to sort of gather some supplies. Actually, he encourages One-Armed Lobo to go with as well.
Man, got a whole posse.
Yeah. So you guys can sort of head out and establish some traps. Where were you thinking?
Probably multiple, starting at the...
Like the front entrance to the caves, or?
Well, that was like starting going down, like that area, like going down to the next level.
Okay,
So like basically whenever you go down to the Underdark, yes.
Mhm.
Go like that, like right before you go down.
Setting them up like down that corridor, or like going down and setting up traps in the lower section.
No, like in this section.
Okay.
But maybe like one involving like the like going actually down.
Yeah. Okay. Roll me. Let's say 3 survival checks with advantage, since you have assistance in this. Claire Severus Cosset. You have these books in front of you. Is there anything else you want to know as you're reading?
Pretty much just do any of the words in the hooked claw ring a bell, like the Kurtlemark, or was it Kurtlemak?
Kurtlemak, yes.
Kurtlemak, or the name Garl Glitter Gold. Do any of those like ring a bell?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Garl Glitter Gold, you would know. Kurtlemak, let's have a religion roll, please.
Can I also
You may,
make
yes.
that
A
check?
whole 8.
Okay, because that's pretty much all.
Yeah, that's really your domain right there. No, it's not. Okay.
I fell asleep in that class.
Sorry, Severus got you.
19.
Yeah, Silverius just beating us both.
Oh, yeah, mine was an impressive
Yeah,
8
8.
with a +5, by the
Yeah,
way.
mine was an 8 plus 6. So I rolled a, what is that, a 2?
A 2 and a 3. And then Severus just rolled in with his first non-disadvantaged roll in many a day.
It's very poor handwriting. I blame the handwriting.
Sure.
I just
If you
know,
say that out loud, you'll get daggers from Bola.
I know a lot of different names. They just get confused in my head,
Spent too much time studying that arcane.
Right?
I see.
So Gar Glittergold, you would probably all 3 know as one of the gnome gods of the sort of the gnome pantheon. Is the god of trickery, usually on the good side, but definitely mischievous. And Silvarius, and if you actually raise the question, Vola and Gorgo would be quick to offer as well. Kurtlemak is the sort of the he is the Kobold Allfather, so he is the founding a Kobold, but sort of like born of dragons, basically. Some myths say that he stole the gift of sorcery from a dragon to give to his people. Others suggest that it was bestowed upon him by a dragon who wanted to gain more minions. Either way, Kurtlemak is sort of like the patron kobold, as it were. Severus, you would know that the symbol of Kurtlemak is a gnome skull. They are sort of like absolute sworn enemies of each other. You pointed that briefly. Bardur,
Yes.
your survivor rolls, please.
13, 22, and 22.
Okay. So we'll say 1 trap on the actual descent itself. What type of trap would you like that to be?
Honestly, probably something that's a delay. So maybe sort of netish.
Okay.
Just to slow down.
And then second and third traps, where would you like those?
I think one in that like area that sort of is starting to like narrow down. Sort of almost like a trap that would like cause a bit of almost like a portcullis. Sort of ish like that. I don't necessarily know if it would be that precise, but something that would kind of like block off that area.
Yeah.
So that's what I would want for that one, and then maybe like have more of their like little poisony traps kind of around here, I guess, that could shoot into there. So like I want this to be kind of like the funnel basically area.
I got you.
So that way they wouldn't have to stand guard. They could basically kind of like stand guard back here.
Yeah.
But this area is sort of like the kill box.
The needle trap, like the little dart trap, that's very easy to set up. Lobo especially is able to sort of, and like it can be launched from there with a view to coming across into the room. You feel like that's going to be quite effective at shooting things. A 22 here on the net to sort of trap things as they're climbing up, presumably.
Yes,
I don't think
basically.
you're going to try and stop things going down. Over here, this one's a little harder to engineer. You kind of describe what you want, and they say,
well, what about just like if we created a little mini landslide or something? Like have a bunch of boulders coming down. We could do that. We've done that before. It would still be able to close it off, but we don't really have access to anything that would, we'd have to like dig out the rock above us in order to get the thing to slide down. Whereas this, we could just like, create everything in such a way that should someone trigger it, the rocks will come down and block it off. Would that work?
That's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
okay. So you feel like that is probably going to be the least successful of the three, just because it's the least like what you imagined as much as anything else, and so you're relying on Kobold ingenuity. But you feel pretty good about these traps, and they feel pretty good about the traps. It's going to take you probably a couple of hours to get everything set up, or at least to sort of plan everything out. It's probably these guys are going to have to come back and check things over time.
I'm fine
and
with it.
Keep working on it.
Yeah,
But-
it's theirs to worry about, really. Just wanted to get them started off right, basically.
Yeah. After a couple hours of planning, you guys are able to come back.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm back at the books.
Just to avoid potential like meta knowledge, would Claire know what a zither would be?
Maybe.
Called Dole Zither, and I assumed it was predating Dulcimer.
Yeah, that was what I was going with, but I wanted to make sure because a zither is a real thing.
Oh, wow.
Roll a. Let's be history, I guess, would be the closest thing.
That makes sense,
There isn't like a roll for culture.
right?
So,
A 22.
yeah, you know what a zither is.
Okay, well, yeah, then she's gonna point to the words in the book and just say, "This bit is a bit strange, because a zither can't really be dull. Do you think it means Dulcimer? They sound an awful lot alike.
What's a zither?
It's kind of like a harp, but it's flat. But it is a bit worrying that the Green Serpent book says that they're going to answer the call to throw over Dulcimer, potentially, if that is what it means."
Yes, we were a little concerned about that too.
Claire, also just kind of joining the dots, thinking of instruments you know. After thinking about zither, you also think of a particular type of zither called a dulcimer, which you think may also be getting involved with the weird name confusion.
It does also sound a bit like Dulcimer.
Which is
Well, it's another instrument.
maybe we're just supposed to go track down a tribe of harpists.
Or start a band.
Are they particularly musical?
No.
You haven't really noticed a great musical tradition so far.
Claire brings up an interesting question. It says you are to overthrow the Dole Zither.
Yes.
What is that to you?
The Great Serpent hasn't told us, so we don't know. I mean, Vola has been pondering on it, but until we receive the orders from the Great Green Serpent, we merely prepare.
And I just didn't see anything. Would I know what the Great Horde is?
And also, what about the Great Return?
Yeah, I was thinking, would I know
Yeah.
either of those or the difference between
Give me
them?
just one straight intelligence roll from each of you.
11.
10.
Our countdown to failure.
So, Cosette, you think that the Great Return probably means the return of Kurtlemak from the prison that Gar Glittergold put him in.
Oh, okay.
None of you are really sure what the Great Horde would be.
It'd be just a lot of treasure.
I mean, it could just be a lot of treasure. That is a possibility, yes.
like
But beyond that, like the name itself, like capitalized like that, doesn't ring any bells.
Maybe the green serpent just wants them to collect more gold for his great hoard.
Cassette's kind of frustrated. She's used to knowing a lot of book knowledge, and so not being able to help is frustrating her.
How large are these books? Will they take an extensive amount of time to really pour through?
Yeah, and filled about 3/4.
I guess I would spend a little bit of time, just a little in the beginning, and asking Claire to cross-reference the beginnings of these books, maybe a couple of pages, just to make sure that because they started different, and then you said they kind of they're real similar on pages and such, and then work backwards from when we first had. I guess work backwards from Vola's recordings and maybe just go back a little ways to see. I feel like the in-between information is maybe not as important if we're looking to keep it tight and simple time-wise.
Yeah, I would say looking at stuff that's happened, looking at the entries more recently to when all of this happened. Maybe a couple weeks before the blip.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that, and it's a couple hours before Bardur comes back. So during that time, the initial page talks about the coming of Boku and Fundo, excuse me, the sort of the first king and sorcerer of the tribe. Basically, page 3 onwards looks to be pretty much a word for word replica. The early history of the tribe is mentioned there. There's a lot of listing of names of hatchlings. Just sort of aging it. You think these kobolds have probably been here hundreds of years, based on the thickness of the book and how much space is occupied. They're an established group, and based on Vola, that they can grow pretty old. And then looking at the most recent stuff, obviously, the Book of the Hooked Claw, literally it stops, and it's just a continuation. There's just an entry from Vola talking about a recent scuffle with Grimlocks, and how a couple of kobolds were lost that day to Grimlocks, and that entry is found in both books. And then the next entry in the Green Serpent book is discussing the arrival of 5 overlanders, essentially. And then there's nothing else in the Hooked Claw book. And then Vola has sort of made entries about your arrival, and indeed the mystery of the fact that there's now 2 books is noted in there. But yeah, looking backwards from there, you don't see a huge amount. There's no sort of obvious glaring here's the thing that we can point to and say this is what matters. Unfortunately, it just they're basically the same book, except that the page 2 is different, and one of them stopped being recorded in. So Bardo returns, looking pretty content, and Splick and Sprock sort of puffed up their chests, feeling important because the king sent them off to do a job with the dwarf and with Lobo. So they thought, oh, that was very good, wasn't it? Yes, it was very, very good. I feel like we really achieved something there. And I think you did an excellent job of not getting hit by those rocks. Thank you. I thought you did a good job of not getting hit by the rocks too. You kind of look over and see Eska's still kind of out of it at the moment. What would you guys like to do?
Spell reagents if they have a cost to them.
You can certainly ask Vola.
So what do you need?
The final grade charcoal for arcane purposes with herbs.
The charcoal I may have, but I don't think I have any of the type of herbs you're looking for. Unfortunately. I could still give you some of the charcoal, though, if that would be useful.
Useful eventually.
She starts to head off, and then she's like,
Splick? Yes? Go fetch me some charcoal from my alcove. Thank you. Right. Okay.
and he hurries off. And somehow he's managed to puff his chest out just that little bit more. And you're slightly concerned he's just going to lift off at some point and get stuck to the ceiling. But he comes back a couple of minutes later. After there's some rummaging, there's a clatter. It's not good. And he comes back, and his arms, like he's holding like this big bundle of burnt wood. Eska, you think this is probably the fire. He's just somehow scooped up the entire fire, basically, and brought it in.
Is this what you're looking for?
And Vola just...
I'll get that for you momentarily, Silvarius.
And she just gives Splick a stare. Splick drops the bundle and then quickly scoops to pick it all up. Now there's ash everywhere. And
Come on!
and he sort of tries to scoop it all up while running along, and the two of them disappear. Eventually, you see Vola come back. No Splick, temporarily. And she says,
Hey, here you go. This is what I have spare right now that would be of sort of arcane quality, I suppose you could say.
and looking at it, you would guess this probably would be sufficient for one casting of Find Familiar, though you'll need the other requirements as well that you're sure you'd be able to pick up from Ingfrin back in town.
Very good. Much appreciated.
Well, you did bring back Sprock.
We have Eska currently in trance limbo, unsure if she's going to
Trimbo.
get through. Trimbo, yes, thank you. Eska in Trimbo, unsure if she's going to get through her trance.
What are we going to do next?
Well, the velvet glove thing, and we said that we would maybe talk to Kaylee or Captain Eliscu. Finding out anything about illithids, potentially. There's also, we know about Duarte and Drakesburg, so maybe if we could get some, figure out more about Duarte. I feel like going to Drakesburg is a pretty big step for us.
Yeah, I think if it's any help, I think Eska and myself are keen to try and find a way to go to Drakesburg, because that seems like the biggest physical change. Even if there's no answers over there, it bears looking at to try and work out what's, I guess, work out what it is and whatnot.
The Falconer, I remember that his name was Gethin, and yeah, he's involved with the potential of if we head back directly to Delzimer, spending time there, we can maybe trail him.
Now he was involved with the forest people. How? Because his name came up last session as well, right? I forget what his importance was.
Possibly
Velvet glove.
The Falconer with the velvet glove.
Okay.
Not for certain, but possibly. He's the only Falconer that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I mean, it was mainly because we don't really know anything about the velvet glove, so it was talking to. I mean, I had said originally Captain Eliscu, but Eli had said Kaylee, because that's someone who I think we can actually probably trust a little bit more.
Well, Kaylee was in charge of receiving information on Duarte, but the trust factor that you mentioned, her being of of
Yeah.
my order might be reliable.
So
LSQ still seems kind of reliable, just like tired of her job a little bit.
Right.
So possibility of back to Delzimer. We could check in with maybe Kaylee and Ilescu in case of any information that's come in. And then now remind me about the Velvet Glove. Is the Velvet Glove the place or the people that run out of the place?
That was in the paperwork from
Yeah, it's about.
the death.
Is it a group or is it a
I think it's a group.
or is it the actual? Because there was an inn involved, right? And I couldn't remember if that was the inn or if they run out of that inn.
I think they run out of the inn.
Okay. I mean, we
can't
could be
remember.
bold. We could be bold, and once we've checked in with both those sources, we could just like go by the inn and sort of do some reconnaissance.
Well, it does say there's a pro Drakesburg and an anti Drakesburg. So, like, I do have that in my notes, but outside of that, I'm not totally sure. Like, it might be important, but it might not be. Because it might just be a Drakesburg thing. You know what I mean? Like, in this alternate reality or whatever this is. Like,
Yeah.
it could potentially be like a distraction to a certain degree. I don't know, but
I mean, it seems like it'd be easy enough to maybe stop by there and just, see what the vibe is, and whatever the vibe the people in there are giving off, go along with it as a,
Right.
basically make, be not cause a hostile situation. Just to, I don't know if we should take Silvarius. Maybe Silvarius can be at the back of the group.
he's gonna pull out his Horn of Gondor
Yeah.
and
You
But
guys,
then
you gave that
possibly-
to him. That's on you.
But then, well, I just figured he's the one that's going to sound the most scary using it.
that's true.
That was my reasoning in the moment. But we could maybe inquire also about, especially if they are pro Drakesbury, we could inquire if anybody knows the easiest way to get across there, and look into maybe seeing if it's possible to go across, or if you have to have some kind of permission or whatnot.
Yeah, documentation or
And if that's the case, oh man, that leads us into the whole potential of, like, finding some people that have that, like, getting it off them and then sneaking over there using the stolen permission. I mean, it could lead to a whole cool. I just want to do spy stuff, really.
Well, and if we have to go to the docks too, wasn't there that group that is supposed to frequent a tavern down there that was supposed to have information about, what was it? It was cassette about like the hags.
Yeah,
Rolliver's.
Yeah,
red fangs.
So if we have to go,
yeah, Rolliver's Red Fang.
if we have to go near the docks anyway, it might be a good opportunity to pop in and ask about that.
No, we need to check. I do want to check up with Riskin when we head back to Delsmer.
Right. Let's officially bring this one to a close, shall we? There's still some ambiguity as to exactly what you're going to do with Eska. I'll leave that to your discretion, whether you finish your trance or not.
Out of interest, how long did it take?
It's been about a couple hours so far.
Yeah, just to kill time. If none of the other party minded, I was gonna, and with the help of anybody that was with us, kind of like instruct or go into further detail with Gorbo on like all that we encountered, kind of give them a better, quicker rundown of what we encountered and how we fought them, and just warn them of the perils that we face, just in case they start reaching up out of the cave, just as a warning.
Okay. So it's been about 2 hours 15 minutes. So you can still decide whether you want to wake up Eska. We'll decide that. So yeah, we'll pick up next time.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. It seems like the Hand of Aegis don't really know what they want to do next. I suppose the only way to find out is to tune in for more Fables from the Pickled Quipper. Bye-bye.